Good evening, everybody. Welcome to One Hub Racing, round 5 of season 16. It's the third race of the evening. We've seen a perfectly dry prospect tier race, wet qualifying and a wet start to the podium race. Who knows what will come for these drivers here in the precision tier. Round 5, the Austrian Grand Prix around the Red Bull Ring. We're nearly pretty much at halfway point of the season. After this race, there are only 5 races remaining, and it is now time maybe for some of these drivers to take a hold on the championship. My name is Luke Etheridge, and alongside me is one of the prospect tier drivers. It is Indecisive Mac, also known as Matt. So Matt, a fairly simple track when you compare it to Monaco, pretty much chalk and cheese in how difficult the tracks are to just drive around in general.
Yeah, I much prefer races around Austria than Monaco, I'll put it that way. It's good to be here for another week, and yeah, interesting that we got a dry race and Precision didn't, but I mean, well, this is Precision, I guess, but the one above us didn't. Yeah, just to model everything up, but yeah, let's do this. Who knows what the others are going to be, but happy to be here and looking forward to this sensational championship battle getting even more closer after today. I'm pretty sure it will.
Yeah, definitely. If you weren't with us last time for the Monaco Grand Prix, it was actually fairly clean by how Monaco Grand Prix usually go. The first man across the line was Janil, and he thought he took his first win of the season. But there was a problem with him overtaking Stixel under the safety car. He got a 5-second penalty for that, and that demoted him behind Mr. Simp, giving the AlphaTauri driver his first win of the season. And he even admitted afterwards in the driver's press conference that the win doesn't feel the same, obviously, as if you got it out on track, but he's still obviously very happy with how he performed last time out. Probably a bit of a surprise victory, given that it was his first point of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I had a feeling that someone who hadn't scored a point would get a big result. I just happened to guess the wrong driver last week. But yeah, it's definitely propelled him up into 7th in the standings after that one race alone. So yeah, it didn't really change much up front, given all that. Janel maybe extended his lead by like a point or two, but other than that, it's pretty much as you were.
Yeah, definitely. It is very close together still in the Drivers' Championship. We'll quickly run through the top of the standings and all of the race premium drivers. So Janel did extend his gap ever so slightly. He thought he'd be walking away though with a 14-point gap. It is only 7 points to Ollie Flavel, who is one of our premium drivers, in second on 59, as is Scopefielder 52, Khalifa on 46, Danestar on 43, and then you've got Jimbo. He is on 27 points, so a bit behind that first group. The rest of the race premium drivers, currently you've got Kian in 8th place on 21 points, J-Luke is 9th on 19, Verheyen 11th, 14, Lukey 12th on 10, Jonas getting 2 points last time out, he's now 13th on 5 points, Ivan still with a 1 solitary point, and Sam and Lawrence yet to get off the mark. And I think there's a few drivers who'll be hoping, obviously, for a better performance around here, but we've already seen tonight, got to say, judging by that, there's a 50-50 chance of this race being affected by wet weather.
Yeah, you'd say that, and I've got a feeling that there's going to be some rain in one of the sessions, but I won't say which one, just, because I don't know, but I've got a feeling. And let's hype up the excitement even more, shall we? But yeah. The constructors is quite tight as well, in anywhere under 2nd place anyway. You've got Mercedes leading on 112, AlphaTauri second with 77, Red Bull at 3rd with 70. Then you have McLaren with 59, Ferrari on 21, Haas on 20, as are Williams, Alfa Romeo with 15, Renault on 14, and Racing Point the 4 points. So yeah, definitely one result here or there for constructors could really change that everywhere, really, when you think about it. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, up until last race, I would have said Mercedes is the only one that's had 2 drivers performing consistently on the top. But last race, Jimbo getting his first podium for Red Bull, Mr. Simp getting his first points. First victory, obviously, for the AlphaTauri teams really brought him into play. And it is extremely close in that midfield in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari in 5th on 21 points. Renault only 7 points behind them. They are currently 9th in the championship. So it is extremely close. They'll all be hoping for good performances around this Austrian circuit. And we just get some track information up here. You can see the game says it's very easy, and as you can see from the track map, not the most difficult of circuits. 10 corners, 2, arguably 3 of them, just flat out corners that don't really count as a corner, especially that little kink at turn 2. The second shortest permanent track on the game. Only Zandvoort as a permanent track is slightly shorter, and Monaco, of course, being the shortest track on the game. This will be, though, the shortest in terms of lap times. Expect to see 1 minute 02 in qualifying. What that does mean is it will be hard to get a space, and as all the drivers have admitted in the race, because of the 3 DRS zones, expect to see a lot of DRS trains. That came up in the interview. All these drivers are expecting, if you get stuck in that DRS train, it's very difficult to overtake anyone.
Yeah, unless you have DRS yourself, in which case you're sitting duck. But yeah, it's definitely a bunch of cars, I can tell you in Prospect, that had DRS on each other. So no one was really overtaking each other. Someone was trying to be a bit more braver on the brakes into like turn 3 or 5 or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it 3 and 5 because that's official, but it's really 2 and 4. But you know, that king changed everything. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a sensational battle between Janel and Danestar, who got P1 and P2 last time we raced around Austria.
Yeah, definitely. They got P1 and P2 around Austria. Out of all the drivers who actually raced in Season 15 that are here tonight, only Ollie didn't score any points around Austria here last time out. He didn't finish. We had Lukey. He even got a fantastic performance. He got a 4th place, and he's probably been one of the unluckiest drivers this season. I think in 2016, in real-life Formula 1, Esteban Gutierrez had a habit of finishing 11th. Lukey seems to have inhabited that. 3 times in 4 races, he has been 11th so far this season. So a bit unlucky for him. And a very interesting fact, which I'm sure some of you might enjoy more than others, depending on your level of humour, seeing as Austin mentioned it. Jonas got his 69th points finished last time around, so that was pretty nice for him. Jonas got some points here last time around, did pick up a few penalties last year, and that's something that is really hard around this track. It was mentioned in the pre-race interviews. It's going to play a big factor in qualifying, which will be getting underway shortly. So easy, especially around turn 1 and even turn 9 and 10, the final couple of corners, to invalidate your lap. So how did you approach this in qualifying? Did you leave a bit off on your first lap just to get that banker in to make sure you got a clean lap? Because it would be very easy around here to invalidate all of your laps and start at the back of the grid.
Yes, I definitely left sub in hand. I just wanted to get some lap time on the board and see where I could improve when I'd, taken out a bit more fuel and just really turn the engine up and stuff like that. But yeah, it's probably wise of a lot of people to just set a banker lap just to get a time on the board, because you never know, the ones around you might not do that, and that's such they'll be starting towards the back, which isn't such a bad place to be if you can get a DRS train, as we've already spoke about.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a few of the drivers said they expect to see a lot of invalid laps. Scopefielder put it the best. You can't relax too much, otherwise you'll be at the back of the grid. You can't push too much, otherwise you'll be at the back of the grid. So you've really got to find that balance. If you do want some information about how all the drivers are doing on their qualifying laps, you can use the TAS system. Jess has kindly put the help function in the chat for all you guys. You can use that in the qualifying and in the race as well to get information about the drivers, and it gives us a chance to see what damage they are getting, which proved very useful at Monaco. Probably not going to be talking about that as much here, but also importantly, what penalties they are getting, because if we do see a late safety car, that is when the penalties really come into play.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, it's very easy, especially turn 1 and I think turn 7. It's very easy to cut slightly, even though you don't think you are. It happened to several of us in Prospect. Yeah, just a tiny fraction of a pixel off and you get a time penalty. So yeah, it's definitely hard in turn 1, but that's the most likely place you are going to invalidate your flying laps in qualifying, or the race maybe as well. But yeah, who's going to be first to set a lap, I wonder? Jonas, I think. He's out pretty quick.
Yeah, Jonas, one of our race premium drivers there, getting through turn 1, not really pushing it too hard to the track limits, then heading straight up the hill here through that little left-hand kick at turn 2, braking very hard for the right-hander at turn 3, the Remus curve. Expect to see a lot of overtaking there flat out on the throttle, and you've just gone from an uphill braking zone, then you've got this downhill braking zone into turn 4, where you have to be extremely careful to avoid locking up the front right, and you can see Jonas just locking it up there, but managing to make the apex flat out through turn 5 then. This is the part of the track where you really need some downforce on your car in sector 2, coming through 6, 7 and 8, and you can see Jonas just missing the apex slightly at 6, but recovered it through 7, flat through 8, heading under the Fanatec sign. You are allowed to cut the pit lane entry line here in one hub when you enter the pits, so the pit entry not as difficult as it might be normally, coming through turns 9 and 10, and Jonas's first lap is a 103.902. Pole position in prospect was Aaron on a 103.304, so as you can see already, Janel with a 103.323. We are probably going to see a driver get into the 102s, I feel.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a pretty impressive first flying lap. He's only been beaten by 2 drivers, one of the 2 from Mr. Simp, last year's race winner, of course. Luke is still in the pits, and who else is on the lap? McLaren invalidated, so that's, yeah, Schofield there, also invalidated. There's a lot of invalidations, as we spoke about already.
Yeah, he invalidated. Interestingly to see that Danestar has gone for the medium tyres. It's not really the heaviest of tyre wear circuits here, especially not for the fronts. A lot of slow corners, a lot of important traction zones on the rear tyres, and let's not forget it is a mandatory 2-stop this season, as it was last season in one hub. So expect soft, medium, soft, 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 medium. That could all go out the window though if there's a safety car, or if your prediction's right about there being one wet session, we're going to see some wet weather in the race perhaps.
Yeah, that's my hope anyway, just to spice it up a little like it needs it, but yeah, the mediums is an interesting strategy, unless he's just doing his banker on and then he'll do some proper laps on the softs, just get his iron and see how the track feels maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, unfortunately for AJ, he's finding out how the gravel track and the grass feels on his medium tyres. He's got it wrong coming through 7 and 8. We mentioned how Janel got penalty last time out. AJ rarely got hit, not by any on-track penalties. A 10-second penalty for readying up too early for the second race in a row, so he needs to be careful on that. And a 5-second penalty for his Taz rolls. He was outside the points anyway, but didn't really cost him. But 15 seconds could prove to be absolutely fatal in a race like this, where we do expect all the pack to be close together, and AJ nearly losing it again there. Really seems to be struggling on those medium tyres. Obviously, once you've gone off the circuit, it's very dirty, and you are going to lose grip for quite a long way around. After most of the drivers, though, have managed their first runs at the moment, or have attempted a run if they did invalidate a lap, and it is now Janel, who actually third lap on the soft tyres, finding even more pace with a 103.122. That just shows what we were talking about. Not a lot of tyre wear to worry about.
Yeah, no, it's more friendly, but like you say, the 2 stops really makes it worth going for an extra lap on the softs. If you think you can hook up an extra 210 seal there, maybe use your teammate as a bit of help, assistance down the straight line. What's the word I'm looking for?
Slipstream.
Yeah, that's the one, yes. I know I used it quite well with my teammate, and that really found me some time in him too, so we teamed together to try and find some more time. But, yeah. You wouldn't want to do more than 3 though to start on those tyres, so he's probably going to improve on a fresher set later.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he doesn't improve later on, but as you can see there, 103.122 for Janel, fastest man at the moment. Mr. Simp going back out again on his second run, and I suppose that's another advantage about a short circuit, is you do get a chance to have more runs here than you would at, for example, Belgium, where really you can only do 3 out-lap, fast-lap, in-laps just because of the length of the circuit.
Yeah, it's definitely... I think all the drivers love to come to Austria because you can mess up your first run, it doesn't really matter, but if you do it at Belgium, as you say, the pressure's really on you then to try and nail a lap out of somewhere when the pressure's really on, when you have no time left. But here, as you say, it's really not as important to get an early lap in, but it's still important to get laps in.
Yeah, definitely. We mentioned earlier you want to get that banker in so you can push a bit later on, and Janel, Mr. Simp, quite a few of those guys at the top. That's one heck of a banker lap to be in the low 103s at the moment. On board then with Sam, prospect commentator, podium racer and a race premium driver. Pay for the race premium for £10. That covers you for the game period. You don't have to pay the season entry fee, and you get a few other perks as well. And Sam yet to score any points this season, and that will be, you just saw coming through the final corner in invalidation, would have actually been a pretty decent lap for him as well. Would have put him just behind Schnitzel in 8th place. So Sam, also because he did it so late as well, that invalidates your next lap. Turn 10, really the worst part of the circuit if you want to get a clean lap in. If you end up cutting up the overrunning the corner there and running wide, that's 2 laps ruined.
Yes, it is unfortunate that final corner is something I should have mentioned earlier as well. There's a hot spot for invalidations or time penalties. But yeah, thankfully you picked up on that, and I remembered that I didn't mention it when I was going to. But now Kian's on the lap and he seems all clean so far.
Yeah, we have seen Kian get a pole position earlier on this season. First round in Holland, he was on pole position. Last week was the first time he was outside the top 10, but because of the one hub rule where if you set a fastest lap outside the top 10, you get a point as well, he did still manage to pick up a single point for the Ferrari team there. So let's see how he does around turn 10 here. Not really leaving it all out there on the track, you've got to say. 9th place at the moment. Definitely looks as though he was going for that solid banker run as well. We've got Ollie in the Racing Point. First time we've seen him for a while, so good to see him back. 11th place at the moment. And actually, this is the most spaced out I think I've seen this grid for a while. I'd expect it to close up, but that's probably just because of how different people are approaching this qualifying session. I was expecting the entire grid maybe to be separated by half a second, seeing how close we've been at earlier parts this season.
Well, that could still happen. It is early part in this session, but that flies by on a track like this. But I'm still, I'm impressed that there's 10 people in the 103 brackets. That's definitely like really close, and this track is closer than most as it's a shorter track. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the session they're all within half a second of each other, as you say. So as Ollie's just starting the lap, I think now, or maybe going again, but he did all on a 4:0 earlier.
Yeah, I think he's going again. Janil had actually gone purple in Sector 1 before he invalidated Jimbo. He set his personal best time in Sector 1 and he's gone purple in Sector 2 here. So this could be a very good lap. You can see Jimbo's grown a bit in confidence thanks to that podium last time out at the Monaco Grand Prix. Obviously Austria, a very different circuit, but he's looking pretty good. At this moment in time is Jimbo in the Red Bull. What a lap it is from him. Pole position for now. 103.002. Personal best in the first sector. All-time session best in the second and third sector. That puts him on top for now. Great lap from the Red Bull driver, and I think he did say earlier on he enjoys this track. It promotes good racing, as we said. It promotes close racing because of the DRS zones especially. He's enjoying it so far, and you can see that 1-3 for the Red Bull team at the moment.
Yeah, you could definitely tell he's definitely found a new sense of confidence with the result last week. And as he was on that lap, Lukey also put himself in the top 10 with the 103.4, which, you know, you wouldn't be too displeased with that, but then you see your full 10s off, you think, hang on a minute. So, yeah, this tier. Love this tier. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it is so close. I think going into Monaco, we had 5 drivers separated by about 8 points. It's spaced out ever so slightly, but still a long way to go. This is the halfway point of the season, as we said earlier. And then after this race, we're hopping over to the Americas. America and Canada, then Australia, Silverstone, and the new circuit, the other new circuit on the game, Vietnam, to finish the season. That could be a very tricky and very spicy final race, to say the least. Sam just coming through Sector 2 now. Let's see how he's doing at this moment in time. Obviously, this will be his first timed lap, so we can only really compare him to a few others, but it's looking like a very respectable lap so far from the Renault driver. We'll see if he can sneak his way into the top 10 as he comes around the final couple of corners. 6 minutes, 10 seconds remaining. That was
E9 there.
That was close from Sam, but P6, very good lap from him. Dainstar looks to be improving on his times as well at the moment. Well, he improved in the first sector, not through the second, but because it's so close, this could make it a Red Bull 1-2 if he keeps it clean.
Could well do, and we'll remain to be seen exactly how he does, as we're about to find out as he crosses the line. There you go. Provisionally second. 61 thousandths behind his teammate.
That is so close at the top of the timing sheets. You can see at the moment we've got two drivers in the 103.0s, three in the 103.1s, looking like a very good race for Red Bull and AlphaTauri at the moment. Mercedes not doing too bad in 4th and 7th, and they did get mentioned in the team press conference about how they're doing good in all tiers but Pinnacle, whereas Williams, they're the opposite. They're strong in Pinnacle but not in the others, but they did say maybe they could do a bit more performance from the other tiers, despite Stixel obviously getting his joint best result of the season so far, as AJ, he gets his first fast lap at the moment in 8th place. So you can definitely say Williams looking good to maybe pick up a couple of points today.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to rely on a little bit of luck as well in your own races and try and capitalise on the errors of those around you. As we see, you know, all it takes is half a spin here or a bit of a run like there and you're right back in it. So, yeah, he'll be helping to get in the lower reaches of the points, definitely.
Yeah, Mr. Simp went purple in Sector 2, and that was very briefly stolen off him by his teammates, so this could get very exciting. We could see another Red Bull-owned team make it 1-2 here in qualifying. Mr. Simp, first man in the 102s, but for how long?
Hello, not very long at all.
What a lap. For both of them drivers, 102.9. I did think we were going to get down into the 102s, and that shows it, and it's actually getting a bit overcast here. I don't think it's going to rain in qualifying, but that might help these drivers as it might lower the track temperature, which is at the moment 28 degrees. Because it's getting a bit more overcast and you've not got that sun shining, that might just be helping these tyres last a bit longer. Ollie Flavel, second in the championship at the moment, behind his teammate, only 7/10 off pole position, but he is improving. Personal best in both the sectors. Can this get him into the top 10? Indeed it does. 103.296 for him, puts him in 8th place for now.
That's 3 thousandths ahead of Sam in P9.
And only 7 thousandths ahead of Khalifa in P10. This is just donkulously close at this moment in time. Ollie's managed to pop himself up into 5th position, helped by a all-time best in the second sector. Went purple in there, so he's heading into the pits. Most of the drivers, I think now, in the pits, getting ready for another lap. And you can see Ollie, this is what I was mentioning earlier, you can push again on these tyres. He's gone green again in that middle sector, and earlier on we saw Kian was quite close to the top. He could find himself dropping down. Janil had provisional pole position. He set 2 very quick laps, and he hasn't actually improved on those laps. So as it stays as it is, as we just take a look at the tyres, he'll have to start on 3-lap old soft. So I think the championship leader will definitely be hoping for an improvement, as Ollie has just invalidated coming out of the final corner. And that might well actually be qualifying over for him, because that will invalidate his next lap. I'm not sure he'll have time to get back round again to get out to set another time.
No, I don't think he will. I think his quality is over, but he ain't for now. But we'll see how far he falls as Khalifa's back out on track. And he's got a little bit darker still. The track is still, as you say, 20, but the air temperature's come down a little bit in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, it is still very dark indeed. Ida Heinen, he's invalidated his lap. Only driver in the 104s at the moment, so we'll see what Khalifa can do at this moment in time. Didn't have the greatest of races in Monaco, picked up some damage late on, finished 8th there. Best results so far this season are 2 third places. He's getting a very lovely slipstream up the straight towards the Remus curve by his teammate, but it's not actually an improvement in that first sector, so we'll have to see how he can do now with DRS open once again on that old black Mercedes. And it might be a bit weird in 2021 when they change to a silver car again, because I've got very used to this black car. Khalifa just looking as if we've got a bit of twitch on oversteer there coming through turn 4 and 5. We'll see how he does in the second part of the session. Schofield is happy with his time. He's retired, and Khalifa has gone a personal best. Only in 10th place at the moment. Doesn't need to find much to get himself just behind his teammate into 7th place and maybe even overtake Janil. Bit of understeer through 9 and he's invalidated his lap. So we'll have to wait and see what time that would have been good enough. Would have put him quite a long way up the order. and it looks like this might actually be qualifying over for Khalifa.
Yeah, he would have been right behind your teammate, as you were alluding to halfway through the lap. He could have gone there. He would have been about a few thousands behind him, I think, from what he did. So, yeah, unfortunately for Khalifa, but as we know, he likes the undercut in the race, so that'll work a treat around here as well. It's very, very powerful. So he's not out of it yet.
Ooh, I was just about to say Jimbo was on a very good lap there. Completely got it wrong through turn 10. He had a chance to maybe get into the 102s as well, as he'd gone green in the middle sector, but hopefully that hasn't cost him too much momentum as he tries to get on another lap. His teammate has popped in, still in 4th place, I should say. We're seeing a lot of improvements from drivers now. Ivan's gone up into 8th. Janil, personal best in that middle sector. Can he get himself up with some of those faster cars ahead of him at the moment? Because the Red Bulls and Alpha Tauri looking very good. Both hunting Mercedes down in the constructors as Janel comes across the line. 3rd position, 102.969. We've now got 4 cars within a 10th of pole position. This is incredible.
I think you're about to have the 5th as Dangstar's coming around the final couple of corners now. It's looked to be a very good lap for him.
Well, we've got a 5th anyway. Ollie's got into the 102.9s as the checkered flag is out, and Danestar,
no improvement.
Just misses off.
Yeah.
1,000 behind Lukey, who stuck himself up into 6th place. I said he doesn't mind this track, actually. He did well here. Last year, as I said, with 4th place, and he says he thinks everyone likes this track, and he doesn't. He wants no rain, so he'll be looking very good in 6th.
Oh, he's stolen pole right at the last. Mr. Sitting 102.8. That's a bit quick.
That lap came from nowhere. He didn't improve in the 1st sector at all. It was a personal best in the 2nd sector, but purple in the final sector. Last week's race winner, he said he'd rather take the victory out on track. He's put himself in the best possible position to do that. 102.839. It's a 1-2 for the Alpha Tauri team. They're looking very good at the moment. Janil, championship leader. Let's not forget, he's yet to have a race, and I think he damaged himself, actually, on that final lap, missing a big chunk of his front wing. He'll still be feeling fairly happy, though, with that 3rd position, as Ollie returning for the first time in a while. His best qualifying of the season with 4th. So the confirmation of the grid then for the Austrian Grand Prix. It's an Alpha Tauri 1-2 with Simp ahead of Scopefielder, Janil in 3rd, Ollie in 4th. All those drivers, well, apart from Simp, sorry, in the 102.9. Simp with a 102.839. Jimbo just ahead of Lukey, who is really just ahead of Danestar. You've also got 1,000th of a second separated AJ and ART. Ivan Kian is in 10th. Ollie Flavel 11th, but he will have fresh tyres, so watch him. Sam's 12th. Khalifa 13th. Schnitzel 14th. Jonas is 15th. Kelvin 16th. And Verheyen bringing up the rear in 17th. Last year he spun early on in this race and recovered to get a decent result in 5th place in the podium tier. I think it was the first race he had at 1, but it looks like he's going to struggle to get points this time around. But it looks like we could have a very similar result to last time, with Mr. Simp taking the victory if he can show this sort of pace in the race.
Oops. I may have got it slightly wrong, but there's no moisture in the air yet. It's looking very clear out there. But
it looked like this at the start of qualifying.
Yeah, I know. Whoopsie. Anyway, while we've got a moment, I'd like to mention our sponsor, our sponsors at this time. Next Level Racing provide our wheel stand for the winner of the Going Gets Tough award, and I think we're down to 11 now, still in contention for that, by attending all races, interviews, and all their media obligations. And the other sponsors recently switched from Twitch to Facebook Gaming. It's Liam13 still, but he's now at Facebook Gaming / Liam13, not Twitch. So jump on board with him, watch live. It is Prospect Races, a POV of another driver.
Yeah, getting to see a POV of the driver getting around and seeing some of the reactions that you get live from some of these drivers. And maybe sometimes they're not the most pleasant, but you can understand the emotions that everyone goes through here. Interestingly, most of the drivers, even those outside the top 10, you've got 4 on the soft tyres. Ollie, Sam, Schnitzel and Verheyen. It's only Khalifa, Jonas and Kelvin that have gone for something different. And it was going for something different that got both of the Mercedes drivers a good result last time. That predicted pit stop strategy on screen is about as much use as a chocolate fire guard, seeing as you've got to do a compulsory 2-stop, of course. And the championship leader, as we said, he's yet to win a race, but he has won 2 races around this Austrian circuit. It's the 9th One Hub season that it has been part of. No one has yet won 3. Could he be the first?
He could. Will he be? We'll have to wait and see. I've already got the weather wrong, so I'm making no predictions. Last week I said the guy was going to win and I put him in a barrier. He's not even here this week. I guess he's still smarting from that. But anyway, remains to be seen exactly who wins, but it's going to be a hell of a race regardless.
Yeah, I'm sure this is just going to be absolutely spectacular then around this circuit. The action zones that have been mentioned to watch out for. Turn 1, Turn 3 and Turn 4, especially on lap 1, where a few of these drivers, I think Dainstar was one of them, said he's just going to send it. He's going to lick the stamp on his way down towards some of these corners in 7th position on the grid. It's very easy to get it wrong. Schnickson mentioned down in 14th. There's the Concertina effect, and he's in the middle. He's in the mid-pack where you might see a few broken front wings on the first lap. But this is going to be a very exciting race. I can assure you it's beautiful conditions in the Styrian Hills, and the silence is about to be pierced by 20 screaming V6 engines. It's about 18,000 horsepower gets its way off the grid. Simpon Schofield and his teammate second. Janil, championship leader, still without a victory, is in 3rd position as we just wait for the Haas of Ivan, who's only had 1 point so far this season, so 9th could give him his best finish of the season to get into position on the grid as we're now waiting for the lights to come on. We've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights here in Austria. And we are underway, and it's a good start from Simp initially. Got a bit of wheel spin on the second phase, though. Schofielder perhaps wisely decided not to go for it, but Janil just says, I'll take the outside line. Thank you very much. So Simp in the lead. Janil in 2nd place in this moment in time. It looks like everyone has got cleanly through turn 1 at least, and you can see Janil thinking about a move here all the way around the outside at turn 3, the Remus curb. Not able to do so. Lukey trying the same on Ollie as well. He's got ahead of Jimbo. You can see Kian has gone up 2 places. Very good start from him, but everyone's kept it nice and clean so far. Simp in the lead, and Janil, Scope, Ollie, Lukey. Bit of brake dust coming up and a bit of lock up there as the 2 Red Bulls swap. Dainstar and Jimbo Mansi swapping places for 6th and 7th, as there has been, I'm not sure if Khalifa's had a bit of wheel spin, and actually you can see on his front wing he's got damage. Disaster for a man who started on the mediums.
Yeah, I completely overlooked he was on the mediums, but I can see why he'd do that, as if there's an early safety car, he gets better track position, whereas everyone else on the softs would peel in. But unfortunately, he's going to have to, if he can make the pit lane with that damage as he does, just about manage to get in there, he will be on a new wing and probably go on the hards. And that is going to be a long afternoon for him, but there he is speeding in the pit lane. Oh dear, 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 dear. It's all gone wrong for Mercedes very early on.
Yeah, it is. It's not been the best start for him. His teammate is obviously right behind Mr. Simp at the moment. These two, 1st and 2nd. Scope looks to have dropped a bit further back, and Lukey dropping back even a bit more as we've got 3 cars going wide here down towards turn 4. The Red Bull swarming over the racing point, and Jimbo and Dainstar getting past Ollie. In fact, the Red Bulls have swapped position again, so it's now Jimbo back ahead of Dainstar, and Kian fancying a shot at the racing point. Fantastic racing from those drivers, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more action like that in this race. I'm a bit surprised Khalifa got a penalty, because I'm sure on my screen he was under the pit lane speed limit, but nonetheless that is what happened, and it doesn't look like the medium runners have had the best start. All of them down towards the back of the grid at the moment. As we now go on to lap 3, the front 2 remaining unchanged on that lap, and as you can see from the timing, all the way down to Jonas, apart from Mr. Sim, is going to have DRS. We have got one hell of a train, boys. It's the Intercity straight from King's Cross, and it ain't stopping anytime soon.
No, it's like the express line, as the race leaders seem to have lagged out the session. That's unfortunate.
Well, yeah, this is probably going to be
getting past into P7. Just about manages to make the move.
Yeah, and it looks like AJ's having a go at this as well here. As fact, Ollie now trying to go all the way around the outside of the Ferrari at turn 4. He might find himself getting pushed onto the gravel there as Kian had the inside line. Now AJ's going to try and go around the outside at 6. Fantastic racing here at the Red Bull Ring. And AJ just not able to make that move stick. And Mr. Simp, what bad luck for him.
Ollie behind and Ivan went side by side through there, but it was never going to, be on. So they both sort of got out of it, and Ivan takes P10.
Yeah, Ivan taking P10. Schofield with the fastest lap, but Ivan has picked up a few penalties as Ollie really looks under pressure here. I wonder if he's set up his car to be a bit faster in that middle sector, because we've seen him get swarmed on the straight a couple of times now. AJ just got slightly cut off, and we're here on board with Ivan. We're nearly going 3 wide here, down towards turn 3. And could Ivan get 2 cars in one go?
Not quite. Not quite. But I thought Ollie was going to follow him through for a second as well there, but he didn't quite manage to get past AJ. So he stays P11, but Ivan into P9. But the move isn't quite done yet.
AJ still there, but now I think he is going to have to yield. So the Williams currently 10th and 12th now that Stixel's had his battle with the 2 Renaults. Verheyen getting ahead of Sam. Mr. Simp has rejoined, and hopefully for him, he can regain control of his car soon, because he's dropping like a stone down the order. 8th position at the moment, and you can just see the advantage of the DRS train, because a bit of a gap had actually gained, as I think he's nearly in control of his car yet, but he seems to be struggling at the moment. As I was about to say, it seemed as though Lukey was dropping back from these guys. Now that he's got DRS, it's just enabling them all to close up, obviously, so the undercut is definitely going to come to play here, as we've got a yellow flag, and that is Mr. Simp, the man who started on pole. He's having no luck whatsoever. Down into 16th position. You can't see from this angle. Doesn't look like he's got any wing damage, but it's been a nightmare race for him. And he said he needed a good result to stay in the championship because he's a bit further behind. He's probably out of it. His teammate's not out of this race, though, because he's going all the way around the outside of Janil at turn 4. That gives him the inside for 5 and 6. And there we go. Schofield takes the lead of this race. That's the effectiveness of the DRS. He's stuck behind him for 3 DRS zones. Not a lot Janil can really do about that.
No, not really, but there's no damage as far as I'm aware to Simp down there, who's just had a bit of a nightmare start after his disconnect. He's now down in P16, but a safety car could change everything, as Lukey gets a 3-second time penalty. Probably not the last.
We are going to see a lot of penalties around here, aren't we?
I think we are, especially as they try and push to get back into the DRS train. They'll get more penalties, and yeah. It's got to be great. Oh dear.
That's a second pit lane speeding penalty, and now he's left the session again, and I'm not sure whether he's left in anger or not.
Yeah. Oh dear. We'll see. But, oh dear. That's definitely not what you want to see from the pole sitter.
No.
Just one of those races, I guess.
Yes, he's just having one of them races. Ollie's having an action-packed race at the moment. He's dived down the inside of Kian at turn 4. Didn't quite get it stopped in time. Is he able to hold it on the inside for 6? And there we go. Ollie taking 6th position at the moment. He's sort of looking like the cork in the bottle at the moment, this battle. 2 seconds ahead of them now to the Red Bull drivers. And we saw Lukey the lap before make a slight mistake, I think. And there's got a very early pit stop. Jimbo in the pits on lap 6. Very early indeed.
Stop. That's probably what that is. Just going for the undercut. I don't see any damage, so that's tactical, I think. But there's a lot of people out there gaining a lot of penalties, multiple penalties. Kelvin has 3 now. Jonas 3. Ivan has 6 seconds already.
Ivan's got to be careful that he doesn't get into disqualification territory, having 6 seconds of penalties after 6 laps, basically. Schnitzel, he's working his way up. He's now got past Ollie Flavel, who just says, I'll take that place back, thank you very much. And yeah. Ollie up into 8th position. Danestar seems to be hounding Lukey now that his teammate has got out of the way. I think that could be a very clever strategy from Jimbo. He's probably going to have to do 2 stints maybe on these medium tyres, as it looks as though For a second there, Lukey was coming into the pits, although you are allowed to cut that pit lane entry line, which Lukey and Dainstar both demonstrate they're covering off this undercut here because Jimbo's in free air at the moment.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need to make the undercut work. As we know, Khalifa tried it last week in Monaco and just didn't get any clean air to make it work. And you're never going to get it around Monaco anyway, but clean air is definitely going to be a lot more productive to you. As we see a Sector 2 and 3 yellow flag. I'm not really sure. There's a car going slowly. Is that Mr. Sim's AI car?
Well, I think he's rejoined the session, and I think part of him might be wishing that he hadn't because he's spun around again. That is the power of the undercut, though, because Jimbo went purple in the middle sector on that lap on the medium tyres, so it shows how good they are at the moment. And he has jumped Lukey, so Jimbo up into 13th place at the moment. He's got that free air and may well have the lead of this race. As Mr. Sim,
he's had enough.
He's had enough, and I suppose I can't really blame him. It's been a bit of a disaster since that disconnect. He is out of the race from hero at Monaco to 0 points here in Austria, as that's a very late decision by Janel, rallycrossing his way into the pits.
He lost it back there, but he's okay. Just there's still only the early front wing change for Khalifa. No one else has any signs of front wing damage at the moment. So that's good to see.
Just to give everyone a clue about how crazy this race can be, as Jimbo sets the fastest lap, Sam's made his pit stop. It's just come up on Taz that Kelvin has made 27 overtakes in this race so far, and we're only on lap 9. But Schofield are now leading the race from Ivan, although I think it might very well soon be from Kian, who's gets very close to the back of Ivan there, who moves slightly, gets even closer as they try to bump their way off circuit. They're locked together here. That all got a bit messy, and Ollie and Stixel are like, yeah, lads, if you two are going to be driving like that, we'll just take advantage. Ollie up into second, Stixel third. Kian looks as though he's going to gain a place, ends up losing one. And after that pit stop, as we said, jumping over cars, Janil behind both Red Bulls now, just because he pitted 1 lap later than Dainstar.
Yeah. It's... You know, it could work against him this week, but work for him the next time. So I wouldn't really rule too much into it. But it does look like the majority of the races, the undercut is the preferred strategy. But it's all about whether you feel confident to make your tyres last that bit longer than your rivals after you've done the undercut, really. Oh, AJ's out.
AJ out. Could this cause a safety car? Could this cause a virtual safety car?
He's lost it at turn 1, yeah. He's probably got on the curb and put the power down a little bit too much from where he seems to be in the barriers there. That's unfortunate, but that's not a full safety car. So that would just nullify everything for now.
Yeah, nullifies everything and didn't really provide a benefit for everyone, as the Hainan's got a penalty for a severe collision with Kian. Now, and he's got big wing damage as well, so he's going to have to come into the pits again. They did get told by the stewards, don't look behind you under the safety car because you might crash into the car in front. Now that's under a full safety car. I can't see why that would happen under a VSC. It's not something you see as much, but it's obviously not worked out well for Verheyen and Schofield. And again, power of the undercut. Jimbo now with the net lead. Lukey second. Schofield down to a net third.
Yeah, if this VSC stays out much longer, oh, never mind. I was going to say if he stays out for much longer, you'd be willing to pit, but Ollie's probably just come in at just about the right time for it to not lose him as much time under normal circumstances, but everybody else will definitely lose out now.
Yeah, so I think that's all the soft runners that have pitted, and interestingly, Ollie and Stixel have gone back onto the softs, so of course they will be on the mediums next time around. As Ollie, he comes out, where he's going to come out, ironically, behind Ollie. They're running 8th and 9th at this moment in time. This could be interesting to see how Ollie M2000 and Stixel do on these soft tyres, as Lukey, he's enjoying himself around this circuit. He works his way back past Scopefielder, and I think Scope's going to try and fight back.
Not quite done yet. Going to try and do him on the brakes a little bit later. Yep, there you go.
Still running slightly side by side.
He's gone. I was going to say, it's not going to get confusing at all with Ollie P8 and P9, is it, really?
I mean, this is going to be like the Murray Walker. I mean, I felt sorry for him when he had to compensate on both Schumachers and Martin Brundle and Mark Blundell being teammates, so...
Yes.
We're having a similar difficulty now for us too, as Janel's actually worked his way past Danestar. He's now in 7th. And you can see what I meant about these soft tyres, because the Racing Point Ollie, fastest lap of the race, he's on the back of these guys.
Yeah.
He might have to try the overtakes into corners like turn 6, where there isn't DRS, where he can just use the extra grip of those tyres, as Danestar gets himself a time penalty as he now tries to fight back here at Janel. Is he going to go for a late lunge down the inside? I think he is, and I think Janel saw him coming to try and get the cut back here. They're both going to have DRS. Side by side, this is just a straight horsepower race. Mercedes versus Honda engines, and it looks dead level at the moment, but Janel has the inside line, so he now takes 6th place. I think that might be a very brief hold on that 6th place, and Ollie can't really overtake at the moment because these two are just fighting side by side. Janel has ran very wide there, though. We just see the view back from Lukey.
This is just like, this is incredible stuff. If it's like this for the next 24 laps, can we do this race every week?
They're still going side by side for turn 9 here, and
awesome.
One of them is going to end up getting a penalty or a broken front wing. I think if this carries on much longer, this has almost been an entire lap side by side as Ivan picks up another penalty. It's really not looking fantastic for him, but this is absolutely great racing. What it does mean though is Lukey's got a bit of free air now. Danestar, he's going to try and go for the outside. Last time he dived down the inside, he gets the position done before the corner, takes 6th place, and Ollie tries to follow him through as well. Now he's got the other Ollie and Schnicksel catching up all of a sudden. We haven't really spoke about the leaders actually, who started on the medium tyres. It is Kelvin in the lead of this race, 2.7 seconds ahead of Jonas. Jimbo, Scope and Lukey, that next group, the guys who have pitted, who have made the first of their 2 compulsory pit stops. As you can see, as now the Racing Point of Ollie M2000 gets ahead of Janel. He needs to use them softs and not get stuck behind these guys.
Yeah, you definitely want to make the advantage gap now and use the softs to get a little bit of clear air, because if you get held up behind medium runners, you just burn your softs out, and it's sort of no point being on them at that point. So, as Ollie M gets time penalty there. See, it's getting confusing already.
Yeah, so that's...
He's on 6 seconds now.
Yeah, I was just about to say, that's 6 seconds for him out of the 2 net leaders at the moment. Jimbo and Schofield have both kept it clear, and Lukey's on 6 seconds. We'll keep you updated near the end of the race, as I thought for a second then Lukey was going to go into the back of Schofield, and he wouldn't have had more than penalties to worry about. Now Janel seems to have dropped back ever so slightly from Danestar and Ollie M2000, who can't really pick a line. Danestar perhaps doing the clever thing there and just sticking his car in the middle of the road. Further back, Kian and Ivan. We saw them get together earlier on, and that could have ended in a big crash. Thankfully, it didn't. They're battling over 11th and 12th position. Be interesting to see how long Kelvin and Jonas can leave it. I imagine in another couple of laps' time, they'll be in a position where they can just go soft towards the end and have some really decent pace on those tyres.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure about 2 softings. I'm not sure the length of the softs at this point, but they're definitely in a good position right now to make the mediums go as far as they can make them go. I'm just trying to work out the gap and where they come back in. If they had to pit now, they'd come back around. They'd certainly be in the lower end of the top 10, I believe.
Well,
but
I think they'd be behind Khalifa, which might not be the worst thing because there's a bit of free air and Khalifa's not got the DRS off everyone, so they might be able to get past him fairly quickly and then catch up to everyone else. So we'll have to wait and see how this strategy works. Austin said it's about 18-19 seconds pit loss around here at the moment, and there is a bit of a gap behind Khalifa, so this could definitely work for Kelvin and Jonas as Jimbo picks up his first 3-second time penalty, and he's got a train of cars behind him at the moment. You can see all the way down to Stickshall in this DRS train, obviously a bit shorter than it was, and it's been a bad lap for Red Bull and penalties. Danestar picks up one. He's close back up to Lukey though.
I suppose he'll take that, but of course, you gain a 10th, you get a 3-second time penalty. It's all evens itself out, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, sometimes for drivers. Well, sometimes they really, I think they like to finish the race on 2 warnings, because then you feel like you've pushed yourself as hard as you can. because you can sort of get away with 2 warnings. If you get that third one, that's obviously when you get to the penalties. If you're getting 5 or 10 second penalties for corner cutting, then you know you've definitely pushed yourself maybe a bit too hard at this moment in time. Mr. Sim, it's safe to say, definitely not happy, and I think he got that rejoin glitch where once you rejoin the session, it just lags and it becomes almost undrivable. So such a shame for him. This might start getting interesting now. Jimbo almost within a second of Jonas. I think he'll be hoping that the Alfa Romeo gets out of the way pretty soon, because if he doesn't and he catches him up in the middle sector, he could lose a lot of time. And just like Jonas is listening to the stream, he heads into the pits. I think this will be the soft tyres going on his car for 2 10-lap stints perhaps on those soft tyres, and he will come out a long way down. That promotes Jimbo up into second place, but Kelvin still not doing too bad at the moment with a 4-second lead.
Yeah, and as he was drinking his stuff, I noticed Racing Point Ollie got another penalty, and that's 9 seconds for him now as Danestar and Luke is side by side.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit of wheel banging, but no damage from what I can see.
Yeah, and Ollie, again, he just seems to be stuck in 3-car battles at the moment. He's gone very late on the brakes, bumped into the back of Danestar. Thankfully, Danestar didn't spin, and I don't think Ollie broke his front wing. What it did give, though, is Lukey a chance to fight back at Danestar. Not able to do so. The only time Lukey got points so far this season, got a yellow flag. Verheyen is out, and if I was Kelvin, I would pit now because it's a virtual safety car, and he's too late.
Oh, that's cruel. Jimbo Manzi's gonna go in now.
Yeah, Jimbo in.
Danestar won't. Danestar elects to stay out. He could have gone in. Lukey stayed out. If I was Racing Point Ollie, I would have gone in for some mediums, but didn't want to. That's fine. But yeah, another one has fallen victim to the curbs at turn 1. Unlucky for former championship winner in podium last season. Is now in a barrier.
Yeah, it was at this point of the season, it was his worst result in podium last year, and it's a retirement for Verheyen, and such a shame for the Renault driver. That's his worst result this season. First time he's not got any points as Danestar is now battling with Lukey. Interestingly, you can just see on the screen, out of those that have pitted, Jumbo, Janil and Ivan have gone for the mediums. The other 4 that pitted on that lap went for the hard tyres, so this could be very interesting as they have made now their 2 compulsory stops. Everyone from 8th to 14th has made 2 stops, so be interested to see what you think. I'm surprised Kelvin didn't slam on the brakes and get into the pit lane, because I think he could have made it, and it could have worked out so beautifully for him.
Yes, he definitely could have made it, and I think he probably wanted to, but he didn't really want to risk some sort of ridiculous penalty he couldn't overturn or whatever, so he's got on, but I think it's going to cost him in a few laps' time when his tyres start to fall off.
Yeah,
the Danestar's in a very good position right now, but some of those that have stopped twice. Jimbo downwards, as you say. We'll see.
Yeah, Lukey in a very good position now. He takes second place and off Danestar, and Ollie just follows him through as Ollie Flavel has caught up to the back of these guys, taps the back of Danestar. Here, as Ollie M2000 there, you can just see nearly going for a move on Lukey up ahead, so we've got some fantastic battling here all the way through the field. Mr. Simp is a bit unsure why Scope's gone for the hard tyres. He's hoping he can just stay with Jimbo and that it comes to him at the end of this race, but now that we've had this VSE period, I don't even want to call a prediction for who might end up taking the victory in this race. It is Kelvin leading at the moment. He's still yet to pit. Then you've got Lukey, Ollie M2000, Danestar, Ollie Flavel, Sam, Jonas. They pitted once. Jimbo, Scope, Janel, Snixel, Ivan, Key and Khalifa have pitted twice, and so they don't have to pit again as Kelvin picks up a penalty. It's safe to say Kelvin's definitely going for the softs and probably a fastest lap run here as well at the end of the race, because he will be lightning quick towards the end.
Yeah, I want to say the people on the hards might not necessarily be out of this, because there could be an opportunity to switch onto the soft slate for fastest lap if they so choose. It worked for Gazzaman in Prospect earlier. I was battling with him for fastest lap, but he stole it from me at the end.
Yes, as Ollie M2000 doing pretty well. 10 lap old soft tyres, so they're definitely lasting. It's definitely possible now with Kelvin Pitts. He should have fantastic pace on those because Ollie, as you can see, he's managed to get his way past Lukey. He is now up into second position, gaining his way through the field. But I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see him pit in the next couple of laps and put on a set of mediums, as he did start on the soft tyres, of course, and gets a bit squivelly there coming out of turn 10. There's battles happening all the way through the field. You don't know where to look. Janil on the previous lap set the fastest lap of this race, so he'd get that point for the top 10, and Ivan by 100th of a second would have that point for those outside of the top 10. There's now Lukey down the inside at turn 3 on Ollie. And this is going to help these guys here, that they've all got DRS off each other, as actually Ollie gets a bit of wheel spin there, M2000 that is, and drops behind Dainstar and Ollie Flavel. So I was about to say these swapping on DRS is helping them because they're not really holding each other up too much, but that didn't prove to be the case there.
It's going to be a mouthful, but of course the longer the racing point Ollie goes, the worse chance he's got of getting a good result, because he's already had 12 seconds of penalties as well. Remember that. Missed a penalty over there, so it's going to be a tough ask for him to get many points from this race, but if I were him, I'll probably box for mediums next time around.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too long before he's coming in, because well, there we go. He's in now, and it makes perfect sense. He just about gets it slowed down in time, because you can see Kelvin has done 21 laps on these medium tyres. Now, I'm starting to think, has Kelvin remembered that it's a two-stop strategy that you have to do here, as Dainstar has managed to get past Lukey, because we've seen that the softs did 10 laps earlier on full fuel. He only has to do 14 laps, it will be, on 2 sets of soft tyres.
Kevin's backhead stepped up there as you bring that up, but yeah, I hope he has remembered, but he could certainly get to the end on the softs in a couple of laps, definitely. I think that's what he may be trying to do. I hope he hasn't forgotten. It would be sad to have a great race like this take it from you because you forgot to pit. Just ask Cloudy what that's like.
Yeah, we've seen it happen at this track before. I think a couple of seasons ago it was Cam who forgot about it, as Ollie now gets ahead of Ivan on his fight back in the racing point to get back into the points. He's in 11th and Schnicksel ahead. All the cars ahead of him up to Sam are on fresher tyres, whether that be soft, medium or hard, as Kelvin finally comes into the pits. This would have been an ideal one-stop strategy. Not sure it would have been an ideal two-stop strategy. And that promotes Dainstar into the lead for now. But what will be the top 4 drivers still have to come into the pits. Yeah, well, top 5 actually, because Jonas as well. They still have to pit again. So Jimbo Manzi with the net lead of this race. Scopefielder staying in contact despite being on these hard tyres. It could come to him in the final couple of laps.
Yeah, it's tricky with the hards because you have less performance than those around you, but you'll have more tyre life. So it's going to be nip and tuck towards the end between the mediums and the hards as to who's on the better strategy. Right now it's slightly towards mediums, but hards will play into this as the mediums start to wear out a little bit further on.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's anyone's.
Yeah, you can see what fresher mediums do though. Ollie M2000 already up into 9th place, making quick work of Schnicksel and Ivan and Kelvin on those fresh softs, not too far behind. Ivan with nearly at 2/3 distance here. Just about to start lap 24 out of 36 as we've got a yellow flag, and that is Kelvin showing so much pace earlier on in this race and on those soft tyres as well. He now drops down to 12th place, and I think Kian will be putting him under some pressure soon. Khalifa still going around in last place. He seems to struggle a bit in qualifying. It's really not been his race.
No, it really hasn't, but as you say, there's about 13 laps still to go, 12, 13 laps, so it's not over for him yet, and he can still put on a show, and maybe there's a chance of some points if there's an incident ahead. With all this close wheel-to-wheel racing we've had, wouldn't surprise me if there is an incident later on in the closing stages.
Yeah, we're getting very close to having a bit of contact now between Kian and Kelvin coming up the hill towards turn 3. But the DRS and the fresher tyres and the faster compound. Sam out the race. This could be exactly...
I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know where that is.
It's coming out of turn 4. I wonder if there was contact with anyone. But there is a virtual safety car. Are we going to see the top 3? Well, there's the answer for Dainstar. But surely now the top 3 are coming into the pits to put on maybe a set of softs will last actually now towards the end. They might do 12 laps. So this turns things on the head once again as Jimbo, he thought he'd got it right, pitting under the VSC earlier. It's all turned on its head here. Both Renaults out of this race then, and you can see a few of these cars coming down the straight here. Jimbo not at the pace he would be able to do normally. I think he's just about going to take the lead here because he'll still have a bit more momentum. No, he won't. Dainstar in the lead of this race on the soft tyres. Jimbo second, Scope third, Lukey in fourth place, Janil fifth, Ollie Flavel came out in sixth, Jonas Ulbricht coming out in 10th place. Green flag racing once again. I think it's safe to say you called that pretty well, Matt, when we said anything could happen here and things could change. There we go.
Yeah, it's nice to go from cursing a driver one week to looking like a genius the next by calling strategies. So yeah, it'll go downhill next week, I'm sure. But yeah, it's good that I can get things right occasionally.
Great move there by Ollie Flavel to go up into 5th position for him in the McLaren. He's had a pretty good race so far, actually. Gained 6 places. That starting in 11th place can be a very handy position in Formula 1, and he's proving that today as Lukey, 2 steps softer tyres obviously than Schofield. There's so much more traction out of turn 8 straight past the AlphaTauri, and that is now Lukey up into 3rd position. Dainstar already pulling away from Jimbo Manzi. I don't think it's going to be too long before Lukey gets ahead of the Red Bull as well.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he hasn't done it by the end of the next lap, because he's close enough to try it on this lap and see what he can do, but definitely by the end of the lap he will be a little bit closer still with all this DRS and tyre advantage he's got to use. He's definitely got to get past it in the next 2 laps, otherwise his tyres will probably start to suffer by being in the dirty air for so long.
Yeah, decided not to go for the send into turn 4, and that was probably a wise option as he was a long way back. But this is obviously just allowing Dainstar to pull away and maybe conserve his tyres a bit more. The Red Bull race leader, and if he takes the victory, he would be the first person to win 2 races this season. Jimbo behind hasn't though, and neither has Lukey, so things could change. As you can see how close the Alfa Romeo is again. There's so much more grip through that middle sector at the moment, and on traction and on braking, tapping the back of the Red Bull. Dainstar, fastest man on that lap, quickly taken by Lukey, and Jimbo, to be fair, was only about half a second behind, but down into turn 1, Lukey takes 2nd position, and he's going to have DRS down this straight.
Yeah, good time. I was just going to say he's going to wait till possibly turn 1 or maybe after turn 3 to make the move, but he's got it done into turn 1. And he had the DRS as well, so that secured the overtake, and Jimbo's now under pressure and, well, could be under pressure from Schofield in the next couple of laps as well.
Well, I think
Ollie Flavel,
yeah, I was just about to say,
go fast.
I think Schofield is too busy worrying about what's behind him, and he's now in front of him. Ollie Flavel, 4th position.
Yeah, it's a decent little comeback from Ollie here.
Been a very good race from Ollie. I think it is fair to say that at the moment he is in 4th position, and you can see everyone but Kelvin, Ollie Flavel's teammate, has done that compulsory 2 stops at the moment. Quite a few taking advantage of one of the VSC periods that we have seen here. We've had 3 now. AJ's retirement causing it, Bahanen and Sam's, as well as Mr. Sim. The pole sitter had a fantastic start to the race, disconnected from the lobby, and then things just went downhill from there for him. So 9 laps to go, 2.8 seconds a lead. Dainstar from Lukey, as we've got a yellow in sector 1. That is Ollie M2000, who was looking pretty good earlier. Thankfully for him though, he's able to continue, and I don't think he has actually... Has he got any damage? Oh, he's got big damage on his front wing.
A lot of damage, yeah. That's another stop for him. Oh dear. He'll do well to get that back, to be honest.
Yeah, he's done well to recover that, and Ollie Flavel, his namesake, just seems to love an overtake at turn 4 at the moment. That's another one. He's now ahead of Jimbo. He's up into 3rd position, so great job from him, and I think that 2nd VSC, which gave the chance for all those that stayed out under the first one to put on the soft tyres, has just worked so well. As now obviously Jonas Ulbricht moves his way up the field. He's into 9th position, and Ollie M2000, obviously he's going to come out in last place after that damage, but he can put on the soft tyres and maybe still sneak himself a point, and Racing Point need that, bottom of the championship at the moment. Last lap, Dainstar half a second faster than Lukey, a 10th faster than Ollie Flavel, so the battle for the lead doesn't look like it might not be happening. But with the pace Ollie Flavel's showing, could well get a battle for that second position.
Yeah, I was just looking at the fastest laps outside the top 10. As you mentioned, he's going to put the softs on to try and get that. He doesn't need to find much time, I don't think.
He's already got it, actually.
Actually, he already belongs to him, but I think he wants to secure it because I think people will go quicker than that, potentially. So, like if Kelvin drops outside the top 10, then you'll need to find a little bit more time that way. But yeah, it's definitely not all doom and gloom. You may well be down in P13 and out of the regular points, but there's always a chance to get at least 1 point with fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, definitely. I've just looked at the penalty situation here, and I said the battle for the lead might not happen. That's on track. Off track, we've got 6-second penalty for Danestar, 6-second penalty for Lukey. This man, only one warning at the moment. So if things stay as they are, Ollie Flavel is going to have gone from 11th to take the victory, which would be an incredible performance, because in qualifying, didn't really look going too well for him, but he's took full advantage of the hand that he's been played. Maybe you could say he's been a bit lucky, but sometimes you make your own luck, and he's shown some great pace at the moment. Needs to say, though, within 6 seconds, he's only got a second in hand at the moment over Danestar, as Ollie M2000, as you can see, he's come out a long way down the back of the order. Ivan is in 7th. As we go through the field at a few drivers we haven't seen, he's in 7th with 15 seconds of penalties, so that could drop him a long way down the order, potentially even out of the points at this moment in time. And I think Danestar's definitely pushing. He's not relaxing. I think he'll have talked to Jeff, obviously, knows how many penalties Lukey's got, knows how many penalties he's got, but perhaps
he doesn't know about Ollie, will he?
No, we won't know about Ollie, so he's pushing at this moment in time. Needs to be careful to make sure them softs are still at decent pace. There's no chance of them getting a puncture at the end, and they should still be comfortable as long as you don't make any silly mistakes, indeed. But he's definitely pushing at the moment. Fastest man out of those in the top 5, at least. The only one of those in the 105s on that last lap, so he's going for it at the moment. And Ollie Flavel, Jimbo and Schofield are still staying within DRS range at this moment in time, and you'd expect Jimbo Manzi's going to want that to go on for as long as possible, because in a few laps' time, the hards on Schofielder will probably be faster than the mediums on this Red Bull.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, that Racing Point has now secured that fastest lap outside top 10. So, yeah, even if Kelvin drops down now, it wouldn't matter because he's quicker than him now. But yeah, it's always touch and go at this part of the race when you need DRS to hang on, and if you lose that, then you may well be vulnerable to the guys behind, but he still has it, so should be fine for another lap at least.
Yeah, should be fine with Schofielder and Janel behind him. Ivan obviously pulling away from Schofielder. Jonas and Kelvin sort of dragging their way up the order, so they might fancy a chance of getting Schnitzel here, but Kelvin, the longer this is going, the more I'm starting to think he's forgotten about it. With 5 laps to go, still needs to make a pit stop to avoid getting disqualified, so if he does, well, even if he pits, that's going to promote one of these two, Kian and Khalifa, into the points, and they're currently battling over 11th and 12th position at this moment in time. But we could see one of these guys come into the pits for the fastest lap, because at the moment they probably don't think they've got a chance of getting into the points.
Yeah, that's it. They probably won't, unless they've been checking, they won't know that Kelvin hasn't done his 2 stops, so they'll be thinking, I need a point. So they're going to try, maybe, they have the window behind each other to do that, because Ollie's way behind them at this point, but if they wait much longer, they won't have that window, so if they're going to do it, they'll do it now.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what these guys go for. Here is the man who still has to come into the pits and staying out another lap, and when it gets to this point in the race, it does get a bit of a feeling that he has forgotten. So Kelvin currently in 10th position at this moment in time. Kian picks up a time penalty, so he's definitely still pushing. Janil, I thought for a second the championship leader was about to send one down the inside of Schofielder, and if it finished as it is on track at the moment, let's ignore penalties for a second. If it finished as it is on track at this moment in time, Janil and Ollie Flavel would be tied on points. That is how close this championship is at this moment in time, as Khalifa makes his way past Kian up into 11th position. And it looks like, even with penalties at the moment, Dainstar's still pulling that gap as Ollie Flavel is now pretty much bang on 6 seconds behind.
Yeah, it's very much touch and go, but Ivan's now just got his 18th second. Oh dear, that's close to being too many.
I think it's 27 seconds is the most. I think once you get your 10th penalty, the game's like, yeah, we're just going to end this here.
I've had enough of this. Go home. Yeah, it's a little bit excessive, but hey.
Yeah, the strict corner cutting, sometimes stricter than real life, as now Janelle sends one down the inside of Schofielder. He's had enough of waiting, and he's going to get DRS down the next straight as well. They're going to be side by side here. You can see that AlphaTauri livery. They're getting closer and closer and closer. But in the braking zone, Janelle has the inside line for turn 4. Runs slightly wide on the exit, though, and that might give Schofielder a chance. But the Mercedes still has the inside for 6. And there we go, Janelle up into 5th position. That just gives Jimbo a bit of breathing space. And he's still keeping with Ollie Flavel. But I think it's going to be tough for him to get past the McLaren, because once Ollie's tyres really start wearing, Jimbo's will as well as Lukey. Lukey picks up another penalty, so that's now 9 seconds for him in the Alfa Romeo. Despite all the penalties that he's going to get at the end, still been a fantastic result at the moment for Lukey to be showing this pace, because we know he's got it. We know he enjoys this track. Looking very good tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm just not going to comment on that anymore. That's just silly now. It's 21. Come on. But yeah, he's definitely looking like he's not been... Lukey's definitely not been a man that's finished 11th quite a lot this season. He's definitely looked like he's been up there all season on this form.
Yeah, looking very comfortable with the big boys at the sharp end of the field, as Khalifa and Kian have both gone for that pit stop here. So they're definitely going for the fastest lap. Well, they might get the fastest lap point for the top 10. Actually, never mind outside the top 10, obviously. That fastest lap inside the top 10 is currently held by the race leader, Dainstar, at this moment in time. But that could change as Dainstar then comes onto the final lap of the race. He has a 4.6 second lead over Lukey, who has more penalties. So it looks as though Dainstar will be clear to take the victory at this moment in time, and we'll see how penalties shuffle the rest of the order. Janil running slightly wide there out of turn 1 as he tries to get a good run here on Jimbo to maybe get himself up the order. Ollie Flavel showed great pace in the early stages on these soft tyres. It just seems to have faded ever so slightly, unfortunately for him. Jonas right on the back of Schnitzel with Kelvin, who will now obviously be disqualified from this race, promoting Khalifa up into 10th position, which I'm sure will be a bit bittersweet for the Mercedes drivers. Just not gone to plan for him today at the moment. Jonas not with the best exit out of turn 3 either, so that probably keeps it nice and safe for Schnitzel. Coming up to the final couple of corners though, as I think Kian's out of the race. So
oh wow, he was pushing to catch Khalifa, but he's obviously got a little too close. And I looked away for a second and just filter through like all the, as Dainstar crosses the line to win the race.
Dainstar taking the win. Lukey will drop a long way down the order to 6th place. Ollie 2nd, Janil 3rd, Schofielder 4th, Jimbo 5th, Lukey 6th. Ivan is going to drop so far down the order I don't think it's worth talking about at the moment. As you can see, B drops down behind Schnitzel. Kelvin will get disqualified, so that is Jonas 8th. Ivan will then, I think, get 9th place. And Khalifa, how quick is he going at this moment in time? Has he got a... Well, he's got a purple in the first sector, so he might still get that fastest lap. He should still, I think, get the fastest lap for inside. And yeah, it just popped up at the screen. So yeah, 10th place and the fastest lap for Khalifa. And Ollie, M2000, as the only finisher outside the top 10, will obviously get the point for that. Ollie Flavel there, getting given the driver of the day by the game. And we'll go through our choices shortly. Virtual safety cars could have changed a lot of things in that race, and it did allow those who stayed out to stay on the soft tyres. Dainstar then taking a victory, the first man to get multiple victories this season. Ollie Flavel with his 2nd podium of the season. And again, Janil will stay in the championship lead despite not winning a race yet, but that's his 4th podium of the season. Great consistency from the Mercedes driver. As we wait for the results then, we've gone through our top 3. Schofielder finishing in 4th. Maybe the hard tyres being the wrong choice for him. Jimbo Manzi is 5th. Lukey, great drive from him. Penalties costing him, but still finishing 6th. Snixel 7th. We said Kelvin only did 1 stop. He will be disqualified from the result, so that's Jonas in 8th. Ivan 9th despite his penalties. Khalifa snatching the fastest lap on the final lap. Kian with a retirement, so Ollie will get that fastest lap point as well. And Sam Verheyen, AJ, Mr. Simp also retiring. Quite an attritional race there for Austria, Matt, especially when you consider, I think they've only had a similar amount of retirements to Monaco. Who's going to get your driver of the day? What would you like to ask them?
Oh, well, it's definitely been complicated a lot with the drop down from Lukey. I was going to give it to him at one point, but I think you got to go with the obvious here. Ollie Flavel from 11th to 2nd. So I'd like to ask you, what inspired your your race today? You seem to just be on another level to what I've seen previously.
Yeah, definitely a great job from him. And I know he's got a few penalties, but he did cross the line in 2nd place. So I am actually going to go for Lukey, and I'm just going to ask, after a couple of races where you just missed out on the points, how relieved are you to be fighting back there with the big boys in this tier? And do you think that you can carry that on for the rest of the season? That's the questions me and Matt are putting to them. You'll be able to read them on the forums, and you'll be able to vote for the driver of the day soon. There was a lot of drivers we could have given it there. Obviously, Dainstar getting the win, Schnitzel moving up a few places, quite a few drivers managing to keep it clean. It was a dry race for Austria, but still a lot of drivers making mistakes, and the virtual safety cars, we thought maybe swung the pendulum in the direction of Jimbo Manzi, and then the second one obviously swung it right back for those that stayed out later on, that being Lukey, Ollie Flavel, and obviously Dainstar getting his 2nd win of the season.
Yeah, virtual safety car. People complain about it, but it can definitely change your race for the better, as we saw. So it's not always about the safety cars. Sometimes you just have to be in a good strategy outside of that. And in a league as close as this, in a tier this close, and on everyone on 2-stop, that's definitely made a bit of a difference, but it's not a bad thing.
Yes, and it is definitely close now, with Janel only having, with half the season to go, only having a 4-point lead at the top of the Drivers' Championship. You are not going to want to miss this final half of the season. Let's not forget the top 3 in each championship do get prizes provided by OneHub and sponsored by Leon13. You can check him out on Facebook Gaming. And also, there is the Going Gets Tough award provided by our other sponsors, Next Level Racing, and we are so grateful for both of them. If you want some more OneHub action tonight, the Pinnacle tier is just getting underway. They are just onto lap 1, and now we are seeing some great driving there from, it is Domi and Midnight Samster currently fighting for the lead of that race in the extremely early stages. Myself and Matt will be back next week. You'll be able to see Matt obviously racing in Prospect around Austin at 6:15. Podium is at 7 o'clock, and then we'll be back commentating at 7:45 for round 6 of the Precision season, the American Grand Prix, where we're still no closer to knowing who is going to take this championship at the end of the season. That's the way we like it. I'm sure that's the way all you guys watching at home like it as well. Good night.